Fundamentals webinar. My name is Megan Salinas and I will be your host. In today's session, we'll go over features within the Marin platform that will aid you in the efficient management of your Facebook program. The main areas we'll be covering today are the Facebook Campaign Wizard, Image Library, and Audience Template tools. These tools are designed to guide you through new campaign creations and to help in efficient and manageable creation of your ads. As a reminder, this webinar covers advanced areas of the platform. If you have not already, please make sure to take the Facebook certification training before exploring these more advanced features. So the first topic that we'll cover today is the Facebook Campaign Wizard. Please keep in mind that in order to access the Facebook Campaign Wizard, you need to set up an audience template beforehand. Later on in the webinar, we'll go over creating an audience template. So the Facebook Campaign Wizard makes it easy to create new campaigns and ad creatives for Facebook advertisers. The simple step-by-step interface means it's never been quicker and easier to create multiple Facebook campaigns. So in today's webinar, I'm going to walk you through how to create off-site ads, page-like ads / stories, page post ads and related stories, app ads and stories, mobile app ads and stories, all in the Campaign Wizard. For those of you who have configured your URL builder, please keep in mind that our Campaign Wizard is compatible with your Facebook URL builder settings. So first, to access the Campaign Wizard, please navigate to the Campaigns tab. Then click on the little icon. It kind of looks like it has a magnifying glass. So once it loads, you'll see that the Campaign Wizard is separated into 4 main areas, and that is 1 campaign, 2 audience, 3 creatives, and 4 bidding. So as the very first step, let's first name our campaign. I'm going to name my first campaign Meg's Mini Horse Promo. You can choose to put it in an existing account, such as Facebook US. Then you can input your start date and end date. Note that in order to create a new campaign, you do not need to input an end date. However, if you are running a promotional campaign, I highly recommend inputting an end date and utilizing the lifetime fixed budget option. This way you have greater control of your spend. Most marketers will probably use a limit budget per day option, so we'll put this something as $5. Keep in mind when creating a new campaign, by default, if it's the first campaign you have created, the budget is at $5. Another thing to keep in mind when setting your daily budget is that according to Facebook, an ad position is determined by budget relative to bid, ad quality, and performance. So your budget really does play a role in how your ads are served or their reach. So take that, if you're ever having issues with impressions or reach, consider increasing your budget. So next, we're going to go to the next area where we can choose our audience templates. So audience templates, as we'll go over next in the webinar, are basically a template that has all of your audience targeting criteria already saved. So for example, if you know that your target market is men between 18 to 24 that like golf, you can input this in an audience template, so that way every time you make a new creative or campaign, you can just reference the audience template name as opposed to having to input all of your audience targeting criteria each time. So in the Facebook Campaign Wizard, you have the option to create campaigns for multiple templates. We highly recommend choosing templates and running campaigns that are not competing against each other. So for example, you would not want to run two campaigns targeted at the exact same audience template. Rather, you would want to run one campaign and a clone of it targeted at 2 different audiences. So that way they're not in direct competition and you're not bidding against yourself. So you'll also see that from here, I have the option to choose multiple templates, and I have the option to choose custom audiences and connections. So for those of you who are not familiar, a custom audience is essentially a list of emails, phone numbers, or user IDs that you upload in Power Editor. Once you upload that list into Power Editor, you can name the list. Afterwards, when you're in Marin, you can reference the name of your custom audience list by inputting it in this box. So you'll see that I have the option to both target a custom audience and exclude a custom audience. So for example, if I would like to target my ad to people whom I've already purchased from my website, I may want to use my list of current email or current users or emails and then input that as my custom audience list. Alternatively, if my primary business objective is to acquire new sales, then I may want to exclude current customers as I already have them as customers. So the next option is connections and excluded connections and friends of connections. So this may be a little bit confusing, but to put it very simple, connections refers to people whom are either fans of a page or place. So if you want, you can target your ad to people whom are already are connected in some way to your page or people that are not connected. So as an example, if your business goal is to increase your fan base, you may want to exclude people whom are already connected to your fan from your advertisements. Alternatively, if you wanted to leverage your organic fan base to increase your website sales, you can target your ad specifically at people whom are already connected to your fan page. So after selecting your custom audiences and connections and your templates, you can then proceed to the next screen. And this is where we can start choosing our creative. So as I alluded to earlier, you have the option to create off-site ads, page-like ads, page post ads, application ads, and mobile app ads. Note that whenever you create an ad in the Campaign Wizard, you also have the option to create the corresponding sponsored story. So as many of y'all know, Facebook highly recommends creating sponsored stories to go along with your ads. So this way, it maximizes your paid click. So for example, if I was to create an ad that's promoting a page, I have the option to include sponsored stories and likes. So this way, if I create a page-like ad and Jane Doe likes my page, all of Jane Doe's friends will see that she liked my page. Again, you want to maximize your original investment in your click. So then this way, I can choose to include sponsored stories, include likes. I can choose where I want to place my ad, and then I can also choose the operating systems. So in today's training, we're going to go over a couple different things. One, how to create off-site ads. Two, how to create page post ads. And then three, how to create page-like ads. Application and mobile application ad creation follows a very similar workflow. So for those of y'all who are promoting apps or mobile apps, you can pretty much adopt the same workflow. So let's go over the first one, and that is creating an off-site ad. So I'm first going to select website as my destination. I'm going to placement, which can be all, operating system can be all. And when I press next, it'll take me to the creative assets, which is also on the left-hand side. So you'll see in the creative assets site, I can input my URL. So this is where I'm sending clicks to. Note that you do need to include HTTP beforehand. Press the plus sign, and it'll automatically be added over to the right-hand side. So then you see that I can add multiple headlines. So I'm going to put this as of course, it still needs to adhere to the same editorial policies that any other Facebook off-site ads would need to. Okay. And then you could keep doing the same process for different variations of the body as well. Keep in mind that when you're inputting new headlines and new bodies, not everything needs to be 100% compatible, as you will have the option to approve and disapprove ads in the next screen. So I'm just going to put in a couple of different ad bodies here to give you all an idea of how this is going to look when you actually use it. Great. And the last thing I need to do is select my image. So you'll see I have the option to either upload an image or select an image from my image library. Although we have not covered image library yet in this webinar, I highly recommend that everybody leverage it in the future, as you can just quickly save images that are commonly used and use them in your creatives. So I'm going to select images, add. Okay, great. So you see that I have the option to multi-select, and the two images I chose are now here under the images portion of the Creative Assets screen. So I'll proceed to next to approve my different ad copies. You'll see on the top you have the options to filter, and you also have the options to approve all. If you tested out the different permutations of ad copies before inputting them into Campaign Wizard, going with the approve all is a great option. However, if this is something that maybe you're just using to create a bunch of ads in bulk, you may want to quickly glance over and use the X or the check mark to approve and disapprove all the different variations of copy. So you'll see that on the lower left-hand corner, I can see my ads that have been approved or disapproved. I can also scroll over to the next page if I have more than 2 pages of copy. So I'll proceed to next. And here's where I have the option to package my creatives. So as y'all know, Facebook really tends to favor granularity. And by that I mean the smaller number of ad groups in a campaign, the better the performance generally. So we have 4 as the default here. Of course, you can increase this or decrease this however you see fit. You also have the option to create 1 campaign per audience template, which is something that I had referenced earlier. Perhaps if you have multiple different target markets, you would like to just create a single campaign that is targeted at all 3. So you can do that through Campaign Wizard by simply selecting this option to create 1 campaign per audience template. You'll see that on the top, as I change my different options, it updates to number of campaigns and number of the creatives. So I can have the option to place all ads in 1 campaign. So instances in which you may want to consider utilizing this option is, as y'all know, we recently rolled out the capability to rotate creatives on the campaign level. So perhaps you have a long-running campaign that you maybe don't want to spend too much time managing. You can create a campaign that has a lot of creatives and then just have each creative rotate after it has decreased in CTR or decreased in impressions. So then next, we can select our bid. So keep in mind that whenever you're creating your audience template or whenever you're inputting your audience targeting settings, Facebook recommends an estimated bid based upon your audience targeting. I would recommend, if you have, if you don't know where to start with your bid, to input that as your max bid CPC. Alternatively, if your ad type uses CPC, you can always use Marin bidding on that. For those of y'all who are not aware, Marin definitely offers the ability to bid on both off-site conversions and page likes and new fan acquisitions as well. So if you're interested in leveraging that option, I highly recommend reaching out to your online marketing manager. So in this situation, I'm just going to put my max bid per click at $1. And I'm not going to apply Marin bidding. So by default, all of these will go into the unassigned folder. Then when you press finish, it'll trigger a job that will show in your activity log, and it'll have the number of new creatives that you just finished creating. So keep in mind that all of these new creatives will still have to go through Facebook's editorial review process. Okay, great. So that was the method for creating off-site ads using Campaign Wizard. Very quickly, I just want to scroll back to the Creative Assets screen, so that way I can show you all the workflow for creating page-like ads and page post ads as well. So again, from the Creatives tab, you can go into Ad Types. Then you can select Page. As always, highly recommend including sponsored stories and including likes. So this way, if anybody does click or does like your ad, then their friends will see it as well. And that really helps to promote a more word-of-mouth feel, which Facebook has shown has higher traction and better performance than traditional ads. So I'm going to press Next. And here I can choose my page and my tab. Keep in mind that by default, you'll send clicks to your page's timeline. In a lot of instances, marketers prefer to send clicks to customized tabs or to a promotional tab, specifically because at any given time, you really don't have control over what is on your timeline because users can post on it. And so in order to control your brand's image, we would recommend sending it to a tab in which you have more creative control, and in which you can better define your brand's image, such as a custom tab or a lead page form, something like that. So from here, I'm going to select my page. I'll go ahead and pick PowPow QA page, and then select a tab. And from here, you can continue going on and upload your assets. So this is how you would create a page-like ad. For anyone who is just starting on Facebook and perhaps they really want to grow their fan base before starting to consider monetizing their Facebook efforts, creating page-like ads is a great way to go about it, and of course with the sponsored stories as well. So let's go back to the ad types, and then I'm going to show how to create another ad type, and that's the page post ad. So as a lot of y'all have heard, Facebook is dissolving some of the I guess you could say relatively unused ad types, such as offer ads. Instead, you can use unpublished page posts with links in them to accomplish a very similar business objective. So if I was to create a page post, by default, this is an unpublished page post ad. A lot of y'all may be more familiar with the term a dark page post, but basically what it refers to is a sponsored story that is not shown on a page's timeline. So a lot of times these unpublished page posts or these dark posts include content that's not relative to the page's identity or to their story, and so that's how come you don't want to post it on your timeline, but you do want to take advantage of the sponsored stories and how they perform. So let's go ahead and create a page post. I'm going to include my related sponsored stories, like, shares, comments, put it on everything. Notice my default placement is newsfeed. Go to Next, select the page, go with the PowPow QA page again. You'll see that I have the option to create unpublished page posts for multiple pages. In some instances, this may not be applicable. However, to those of y'all managing a large network of pages, you may find that this option really helps you to scale. So for the purpose of this training, I'm only going to create unpublished page posts for one page, but I just wanted to call out the option that you have to create it for multiple pages at once. So here under the message, I'm going to put something such as stop in today for discounted oil changes. Okay, and then here's the link. So in the link, you can include a link to an offer. You can include a link to your website. I mean, technically, even you could include a link to a custom tab on Facebook. So for here, this example, I'm just going to put in powpowsports.com and press the plus. Make sure y'all press the plus when you're done inputting, as it's not necessarily intuitive that it'll automatically be added. Okay. Great. I'm going to go ahead and put another message in here. And again, unpublished page posts, think of them like page posts that are more sales-driven or that are more call-to-action driven. So you want your users to take some sort of action, whether that's filling out a lead form, whether that is buying something from your website, or whether it's downloading an app. Here's where you put your promotional message, and then in the link is where basically where you input the URL for the landing page. So another promotional message I could put is like discounted services all day, and include the link to the website. So again, you have your option to upload different images or add them from the library. I'm going to go ahead and choose to add them from the library. And once I press next, you'll see that I can see all of my page post ads. So it has the link to my page, and it shows my website link. It has my message along with the images that we created. But then if I scroll to the very bottom, because I created a page post like sponsored stories, it also gives me a preview of those sponsored stories. So if I was a friend of Jane Doe and she liked a page or she liked my link in my page post, I would be able to see that in my, in my Facebook. So it's a great way to just quickly create ads and related sponsored stories. Of course, if you press next, you're going to go to the bidding tab where we have already reviewed the major components, which are package creatives, bidding, and apply Marin bidding. Then press finish. So in today's training on Campaign Wizard, I hope everyone, I hope everyone understands the ability to create off-site ads, page post ads, and page post ads, page like ads, app ads, and mobile app ads, and all of the related sponsored stories in the Campaign Wizard. So the next portion of the webinar, we're going to focus on creating audience templates and building your image library. So that way you can save even more time when creating new ads and managing campaigns in Marin. So I'm going to X out of the Campaign Wizard. And next we're going to navigate on over to Admin and then click on to Templates. So from Admin and Templates, you'll see the option for Audiences and Image Library. So Audiences is what I had referenced earlier. That's where you can create your new audience templates. So some marketers choose to create audience templates based upon their organic fan base. So as many of y'all know, Facebook provides insights and demographic data into your organic fan base. So if you were just starting off with Facebook advertising and you weren't sure who to target, you may look to that report for initial ideas in terms of audience targeting. Alternatively, you can always start broad and then hone down your targeting as you see what works best for your vertical. Another option, I have a lot of clients that know exactly who their target market is. So then you can just input that as your targeting. So the two different ways to create audience templates is one, in the app, and then two, via bulk sheet. We'll go over both ways. So in the app, again, you navigate to Admin, Templates, and then press Create. I can name my template here. So for example, I'm going to put Calgary. I'll put hockey fans, or cooking fans rather. Here you have to input a country. This is a required field when you're creating audience templates in the app and via bulk sheet. So here I'm going to input United States. Note that I have the option to target specific genders or all. Targeting all is more inclusive than targeting both males and females. So then continue on, and you can choose your age range. By default, the min is 13 and the max is 64. So if you wanted to target all users, you would just target 13 to 64. Lastly, you're going to input a language. So it may seem like just inputting English is sufficient. However, as you can see in the drop-down, there is about 4 different variations of English, including pirate and upside down. So I would recommend targeting English all in order to have the maximum amount of reach. Next, you have the options for precise interests and topics. So there's a little bit of confusion regarding the difference with precise interests and topics. So topics consist of precise interests. So topic is primarily denoted by a term that has a hashtag in front of it. As an example, hashtag cooking is a topic, and that includes the precise interests, cooking tips, organic cooking. So just so everyone knows, precise interest can be used in combination with topics. As an example, you can have hashtag or pound cooking, cookbooks, and aprons, so that way it's more inclusive. So here's where you would input your different precise targets. So if I was to do a precise target, perhaps I would do cookbooks, aprons, okay. And then if I wanted to do a topic, maybe to be more inclusive, I would just pick something like cooking. Great. You'll notice, too, that in the drop-down, as you're adding new precise interests and topics, it also shows you the estimated audience size. That's a great way to figure out which precise interests and topics will give you the highest estimated reach. So here I'm going to put cooking, and then I have the option to also input broad categories. So there's 10 broad categories available with 90 subcategories. They're available in US, Australia, Canada, India, Ireland, New Zealand, Singapore, South Africa, and UK. The major caveat is that they're only available in English. So for those of you who are in Canada and are targeting French speakers, your broad categories will only be in English. So then you can continue inputting your different audience targeting, such as the relationship and whatever they're interested in, also workplaces. Once you save, it, you'll see the name of your audience template in your audiences subtab. And then when you're creating a new creative, you can simply input the name of the audience template. In addition, if later on you wanted to edit your audience template, you could always do so by navigating to Admin, Audience, Admin, Templates, Audience, and then selecting the template you want to edit and pressing Edit from there. So that's the way you create audience templates in the app. I very quickly want to just go over how you can create these in bulk sheet as well. So on my screen is an example of a bulk sheet for an audience template. I just want to call out that for those of y'all who would like to leverage a bulk sheet for either an audience template or for creating ads, please search the Zendesk article, A Guide to Using, or Facebook, A Guide to Using Bulk Upload Tool. And it includes a link to this file, which is a template for both uploading audiences and creative. In addition, it just includes a lot of great tips. So to create an audience template in a bulk sheet, I would first input the exact name of the audience template. So this is how I want it to appear in the app, and this is what I would reference in my ad creation. In addition, I would input the name of the country. Country is an absolutely required field, and it cannot be abbreviated. So instead of putting USA, please make sure to put United States. In addition, if I wanted to target on the state level, I could do so by inputting the full name of the state and the abbreviation of the country, input the name of the city and zip code, etc. From there, you can input your gender, your age range, education, colleges, and all of the same audience targeting settings that we saw in the app. I just want to call out some of the required columns. Everyone, please keep in mind that it is required that you have a country, an age, and a language. So everything else is additional targeting. For example, if you wanted to target people whom have already graduated from college or that already graduated from high school, you could do so. In addition, you can target people by their graduation years, broad categories, likes, interests, all of the different settings we said earlier. So once you finish filling out your audience template bulk sheet, save it as a .text or .csv, navigate over to Admin, Templates, audience, bulk add audiences, and you can either paste it right into the screen or you can upload it here as a .text or .zip file. Great. So those are the two methods for creating audience templates. Again, you have to create an audience template in order to use Campaign Wizard. So if you have not created an audience template but do want to just try Campaign Wizard, I highly recommend creating an audience template called All and target it to everyone that's living in the United States that's between 13 to 64, so that this way you can just be able to start using Campaign Wizard. Of course, if you want, you can later on apply targeting settings or custom audiences to that template. Great. So the next area, the next time savings tool we're going to go over is the image library. So as many of y'all saw earlier, when you're creating new ads, you can reference images that have already been uploaded in the image library. The awesome thing about this is that the image library is not exclusive to Facebook, so if you're running anything on display, you can also use those same images there. A couple things to keep in mind, though, that uploading images in Marin and using Marin's image library does not negate Facebook's rules on images. So, for example, there's some strict limits on the amount of text that can be included in an image, then that's still applicable. There's also some pretty strict guidelines on the sizes of images. Again, that's still applicable. So let's go over building an image library. Okay. So I'm going to navigate to Admin, Templates, Image Library, great. And then from here, you'll see that I already have a couple of images that are uploaded. However, if you're starting from scratch, you can just press Create, name your image. I'll call this, and then choose a file to upload. So you'll notice that the previews are resized as appropriate, but Marin does not actually resize your images, in case anyone is wondering. Okay, once you upload your image, you can press Save. And you'll see that it's already finished uploading, and I can now reference this image name in my bulk sheet for new Facebook ad creation, or I can reference this image name when I'm creating new ads via the Campaign Wizard, or when I'm creating new ads just in the app as regular. So that's one way you can add an image, but for a lot of y'all that may not be too scalable, as you're literally just adding one image at a time. So a more time-efficient way to build up your image library is to do so via bulk. If you navigate to the related tasks under the image library, bulk, add, edit images, you'll see the option to upload images in bulk. Now, there's two ways of going about this. You can either upload a single file, or you could just zip all of your images together and upload it. So the primary consideration here is that if you were to upload all of your images in a zip file, which is definitely the fastest way, you would still need to name all of those images. So if I saved an image as test.jpg, the image file is test.jpg, and the image name is whatever I want to show in my image library. So as an example, I prepared a fake bulk sheet that I'm going to paste in here so everyone can see better visual. You'll see that my column header is image name and image file. Under image name, I have whatever I want to show in the app, which is just test 1, test 2, test 3, and image file is literally the name of my image file. So then I'm going to choose a file to upload. You have two options right here. One is to upload the file that contains the names of your images, what I just pasted in there. And then the second option is to actually upload the images. So we'll be in this example, we're going to upload the images. Choose a file. Zip test. And then process. So again, as long as I have saved a little list of what I named all of the images, this will quickly build out my image library, and that way I don't have to go through the process of uploading an image each time I have a new creative. So while that processes, we'll just move on to the next portion of the training. So as a couple of, I'm sure y'all have noticed, we're really focused on saving time in managing Facebook ads and creatives. So the next related portion of that is how to create ads in a bulk sheet. As I mentioned earlier, you can quickly create an audience template in bulk sheet. You can quickly build up your image library in bulk sheet, and you can also create ads in Campaign Wizard quickly. But for those of y'all who prefer working in Excel or just want to work in a bulk sheet, we can go over how you can quickly create new creatives or campaigns via bulk sheet as well. So everybody knows, whenever you are creating a bulk sheet for either campaign or creative, if you navigate to that top level tab and then navigate to the lower left-hand corner under related tasks, it shows you which columns are required in your bulk sheets. So I always think that's a handy tip because in a lot of cases I can't exactly remember what columns are supposed to be there. So if ever you need a reminder, just navigate over to the top level tab to the related task, bulk, add, edit, creatives, and then you can see all of the required column headers. So for the Facebook bulk sheet, we're going to work on creating a brand new offsite ad via bulk sheet. Okay. So I'm going to pull up a template on the screen, and again, if you navigate to help and search in Zendesk for Facebook, a guide to using bulk upload tool, you will see a link to this exact same template that you can use. I think it's great to save a local copy because it includes a lot of useful targeting tips as well as what sort of delimiters should be used in which columns. Great, so a brand new, in Marin, in bulk sheets, add names correspond to group. I think that's probably one of the most important things to keep straight, that your column header group equals your ad name. So the group that's being created or the ad that's being created can be associated to an existing or to a new campaign. If I was to add a new ad to an existing campaign, I have to reference the name of the campaign exactly. Otherwise, it'll implicitly create a new campaign. If I want to add it to a brand new campaign, then I can just input the name of that campaign, and as I had mentioned earlier, it will implicitly create the name. It will implicitly create the campaign. If you have never created a campaign before, by default your budget is $5. If you have created a campaign before, then the budget will default to the last amount specified, so whatever your last campaign utilized. Next is where you input your ad name. Again, this is under the column header group. And all of these ad names absolutely need to be unique. And if it was not to be unique, then it would interpret it as an edit. So similar to search bulk sheets, make sure that this is unique. Next, you have the option to input status. This column is optional so that everybody knows pause groups will automatically be pushed to active after they've gone through Facebook editorial and they've been approved. So regardless of what you specify in this status, once it's been approved, it will be active. So as a safeguard, I recommend either scheduling campaign start dates or just creating the campaigns in pause mode first. Next is where you can input your bid. So under the search bid column, I would recommend inputting the suggested bid amount that Facebook suggests based upon your audience targeting. Other columns include folder, for those of y'all who are using Marin bidding, and bid type. Currently, the only options are CPC or CPM. For those of you who are creating offsite ads, CPC is a great option. For those of y'all who are just in general interested in this new cost per acquisition, that is something that Marin is going to be compatible with. However, you cannot specify that in a bulk sheet at this time. The next column header is audience. So as I mentioned earlier, this is where you put the exact name of the audience template. So if we wanted to target all, I would input all here since I already created that audience template. Under countries is where you can include whatever you want to target your ads to. Again, similar to the bulk sheet for audience templates, countries is absolutely required. If you specify an audience template, you do not need to input all of the other audience targeting criteria, which is again why we always recommend creating these audience templates to save time. So I'm going to actually just kind of go over the audience targeting columns since we already reviewed them in our audience template bulk sheet creation. So the next ones, the last ones, and these are the ones I think that are pretty important, and these are the connections and not connections. So as we learned earlier in our training on Campaign Wizard, connections refers to people that are connected to a page or place, and not connections is the exact opposite. So if I wanted to target my offsite ad to people whom are already connected to my page, I need to input the exact name of my Facebook page, event, or application name. So if my Facebook page is Pow Pow Sports, the value under connections needs to be exactly Pow Pow Sports with the open bracket page, close bracket. So again, guys, this needs to be exactly as it appears in the app. Otherwise, you will receive an error. So not connections, same thing. If I want to exclude people whom are already connected to my page, I need to input that exactly as it appears in the app. All right, great. So friend connections, this refers to something similar to like friends of fans. As y'all know, sponsored stories, as an example, are automatically targeted to friends of fans. So if I wanted my offsite ad to sort of replicate that behavior, and I want to automatically target friends of fans, I can do so here. So anyone who is a friend of my fan page will receive this ad if I was to input my fan page name exactly here. Okay. Next, you can input your headline, your description line, destination URL, your related page. Now, related page can be a little bit confusing. The only values you can input here is on and off. So when you're creating an off-site ad, you do have the option to show a related page, and it kind of adds a little bit more legitimacy to your ad. It also, too, if you do have a large fan base following, it seems like there's a little bit more organic fan endorsement as opposed to just pure paid endorsement. So I recommend if you do have a page linked into the app and you do have a pretty strong presence that you turn on related page, so that way you'll plug both your page and your website at the same time with one ad and paying for one click. So next is the destination connection. So if you're sending any ads to a fan page, so remember earlier how we mentioned sending clicks to a custom tab within Facebook, you can input that here. You can also input the exact name of the page. So this is for people who are creating page-like ads. This is a question I get a lot. People are wondering, can you create off-site ads and page-like ads in bulk? Yes. Unlike search, there is no ad type column. The only way you can distinguish a page-like ad from an off-site ad is by using this destination connection column instead of the destination URL column. So again, for those of y'all whom are not creating off-site ads and are creating page-like ads instead, use the destination connection column and input the name of your page. If you're sending it to an off-site ad, delete this column. It's unnecessary. Next, under image, this is where you specify the name of the image that you included in your image library. So earlier, we added a new image to the library, and if I wanted to include that in my ad copy, I can simply input that exact name. If I have not added my image to my image library and I'm uploading the image as a single image along with this bulk sheet, then I have to specify the full file name, such as yoga.jpg or courses.jpg or whatever. Again, highly recommend create your image library beforehand so that way you can just specify the image name here. For those of you who are using Tracker Redirect, as long as your Facebook URL builder is configured properly, this using a bulk sheet to build out new creatives will automatically trigger off your redirects. So for those of y'all whom are using just regular Marin Tracker, it will append your unique ID to all of your destination URLs as well. So that is a huge benefit that you will get all of your tracking for your offsite ads. Great, so we have about 9 minutes left, and I know we covered a lot of information in today's webinar, including how to leverage the Campaign Wizard to create 4 different ad types, how to leverage the audience template and image library to save time, and then of course how to use bulk sheets to create new ads and new campaigns in Facebook. So I think that's a lot of information to digest, and I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. All right, thank you to everyone who has already submitted their question via chat in the webinar. I really appreciate it. So, great question. Somebody asked, what is Facebook's image size? Great question. So the absolute max on that is 110 by 80 pixels. Okay, great. Another question I see, can sponsored stories be edited via bulk? That's a really great question, and the answer to that is no. Not only can sponsored stories not be created via bulk sheets, they also cannot be edited via bulk sheets. For those of y'all who may be a little thrown off by the term sponsored stories, what we're referring to is like the related likes, comments, and shares for an ad. So if I have a page post ad and somebody likes, comments, or shares my page post, all of those related actions are referred to as sponsored stories. All right. Another question, which we addressed earlier. Yes, for those of you who are interested in the cost acquisition bidding, Marin will be compatible with that. I believe we're rolling out that product enhancement in our next release. Okay. Oh, another good question that came in. Someone asked, can you capitalize each word in the headline in the Campaign Wizard? That's a great question. So as I had mentioned earlier, everything that Facebook allows, Marin will allow in the Campaign Wizard, but of course, we can't bend any sort of rules. So to answer this question, yes, you can capitalize each word in the headline, but per Facebook's restrictions, you cannot use excessive capitalization. So all 25 characters in your headline cannot be capitalized, but you can capitalize like every other word. Okay, I'll just give everyone another minute or so to submit any other questions. Okay, last question. Someone asked if you can bulk edit images for the image library. So I take it that you want to rename an existing image via the bulk sheet, and the answer is yes, you can use the bulk sheet or the image library bulk option to both add new images and to edit existing images. Of course, guys, I highly recommend that if you are interested in leveraging bulk options for building out your image library, you can always just search for the Zendesk article on image library bulk, and it'll show you not only a template, but a couple of tips on best practices as well. Okay, I guess the follow-up question to that was, can you delete images? Yes. If you add any images, and you can always delete them later by navigating over to Admin, Image Library, selecting the image, and then just pressing Delete. So in case you accidentally upload an image or something like that, you can always undo it. And just as a reminder, Facebook images will not be resized in the platform. The images will be scaled while being previewed, but the images themselves are stored at their original sizes. All right, well, I have not received any other questions, so if that covers it, then thank you again to everyone who attended. If you have further questions, please feel free to reach out to your online marketing manager. And as always, search Zendesk. There's a wealth of learning materials on Facebook tools and features. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.